Well, the Democrats' lawfare attacks on President Trump are all falling apart. I love that full screen, by the way. But can the president's legal team convince New York AG Letitia James to drop her absurd so-called fraud case as well? Let's ask Alina Habba, who knows a thing or two about that case, an attorney and senior advisor to President Trump. Happy Thanksgiving, a day early, Alina. So glad you could join us. You know, I say so-called fraud case because, of course, you look up the legal definition, at least the federal definition of fraud, and there's a victim. There was no victim here. The banks were happy with the deals they were making. There was no essential fraud in this case, and yet he got a $454 billion fine. I'm just wondering, since there wasn't an aggrieved party that would get a piece of that money, where does that money go? Does it go to New York State coffers? Does it go to Letitia James's 2028 presidential campaign? Where does it go?
Yeah, it goes to Tish James's crew. Unfortunately, and fortunately for us, she didn't really hold water with that $475 million. It was immediately decreased to under $200 million by the appellate division. We've argued ad nauseum in the appellate division, and they have been fair to us and kind to us, that this case was past the statute of limitations. This case was brought by a Section 6312, a law that should not apply to private citizens doing business where no one was harmed. And I do believe that the appellate division heard our arguments very clearly. As you know, they reprimanded the Attorney General's side for bringing this case, for using this law this way, because it would open Pandora's box, per se, and it would basically tell people, don't come do business in New York, which is what we're seeing happening. We're waiting on that decision. But more importantly, yes, yesterday we did plead with Letitia for nothing more than a little bit of humility and a little bit of American sense to drop this case, just like Jack Smith did the day prior, on two suits, the raid in Florida, as well as the January 6th case in Washington, for the good of America. We've seen this over and over again over the last 3.5 years, and I think it damaged the country. And I think that's a big part of, frankly, why we won. America wants to see that the DOJ, the AGs, the DAs, they're going to be on our side, and they're going to stop this lawfare and these witch hunts if you're on the other side of politics. And our plea with her was, listen, do the right thing. We're waiting for the appellate division. We think they will, but do the right thing yourself.
Then you have the DA, Alvin Bragg, and his case, which we have to remind folks, it was an uncharged, outdated misdemeanor that somehow magically became 34 felonies. You know, and you had a judge that clearly had a bias, not only in the courtroom itself during the trial, but previous to that. He was chastised once for his political contributions. What's up with that? Any news on the Alvin Bragg case?
Sure. DA Bragg gave their recommendation, which was to navigate this after the presidency, after 2020, after he's done being president, which is insane to me. Instead of just saying, drop this case. It was past the statute of limitations, just like Letitia's case. It was passed up by Cy Vance. It was passed up by Bragg. And then it was brought when he ran. The witnesses, the key witnesses, were Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, who I believe are not credible. And we saw that in a New York court, a jury who was brought information that they shouldn't have been brought, according to the Supreme Court, because he is privileged and entitled to immunity. The case was flawed from its inception. Look, this should be done. Everything should be done. What's more important is, in that case, Judge Merchan did say that he gave us leave to file a motion to dismiss, meaning that we now can file a motion to say, look, they may want to wait another 4 years to put him in jail. We're not doing that. We're going to file a motion. These are all the reasons, according to the Supreme Court and according to basic law, that this case should have never been tried.
You know, there was a wonderful predecessor to Alvin Bragg named Robert Morgenthau. He was in that position, the DA, for about 30 years. He was a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, but he really played by the rules. He dealt with conservative Republicans as well as liberal Democrats. It's just such a pity to see what's happened, but it's even worse to see what happened at the top, at the DOJ. Merrick Garland, who was on our list of notable characters that are probably crying in their soup right now at the change that's coming. I mean, his role in a lot of these cases was behind the scenes. Of course, there was also the Fani Willis case, where their team was meeting in the White House with his people at DOJ. He had his number 3 man at DOJ come down to argue to prosecute the Alvin Bragg case. I mean, there was a really dangerous mix here of the politicization of the DOJ with these lawfare cases.
That's right. They were 100% election interference. And as you said, David, when you look at the White House logs and you're seeing DAs and AGs come visit the White House a month before they bring complaints against a former president, it's unbelievable. It's unacceptable. America needs restored faith in the legal system. I truly believe that. I think Pam Bondi is a huge step towards that. I've spoken to her. I think that there's going to be a lot of movement towards cleaning this up and also to investigate this. There are issues that have happened over the last 3.5 years that are un-American, unconstitutional, and should never happen again to any president, regardless of if you're a Republican or a Democrat. And that's the way President Trump operates. That's the way I operate. And that's the way Pam will operate. It'll be great. We will make America believe in the legal system again. We really will.
Alina Habba, always a pleasure to see you. Say hi to your parents for me.
You too.
I actually knew them before I knew you, and they're wonderful people. That's
true.
Where you get your decency. Appreciate you being here, Alina.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank